Hey everybody, it's Bishop Tapp again. Just continuing our Self-Reliance series. Today I want to talk about the most exciting part of Self-Reliance. Building a budget. Dun dun dun. Yeah, no. I think oftentimes we feel like budgeting is the worst part about Self-Reliance. I've felt like that for years. And it's only been recently when I've been able to shift my thinking around on that. I want to talk a little bit about why and how we help ourselves to focus more on self-reliance through having a budget. So, again, coming back to the financial stewardship success map, we talked about that foundation last time. I want to talk today about the two walls, work and budget. That'll be the next few times. And I want you to think about, why would a budget and work be the walls of our financial house? Well, obviously, if you're missing a wall, your house falls apart, right? Same thing with a budget and work. If you're not working, you have no money to budget with. If you're not budgeting, you have no money to save for the future. You have to have those two things, or you can never be self-reliant. And so we'll talk about income later. I'm going to take a couple of these segments and talk about a budget. First of all, here's my personal experience with budgets. For a long time, I didn't do a budget. I've gone through phases where I have and haven't. Phases where I have, eventually I'm like, I got this. I'll just watch what my total is in my bank account. I'll be fine. Wrong. That never works. If you're using your bank statement as a budget, you're doing it wrong, because you'll always spend right up to that edge. Remember me, I'm the spender. And so I'll always spend every dime that comes in. The budget is telling each dollar what to do when you earn it. So really, you ought to be planning out each paycheck how you're going to use that money. It typically works best month by month. Many of you have done budgets before. We'll talk about some details later. But I always viewed a budget as something not fun, something restrictive to me. In reality, a budget is not telling you can't spend money. It's actually permission to spend money that you get. If you'll flip that mindset around, that will help you really begin to embrace a budget. But I want to talk about this principle first. This is a quote out of the Self-Reliance Manual. It says, following a budget will help you and your family take control of your temporal life, put off the natural man, and invite the spirit into your home. Budgeting can also help you to protect your family from hardship, as you use it to allocate money for building an emergency fund, paying down debt, and saving for future expenses. Let's talk about those three things. Following a budget will help you and your family take control of your temporal life. It's about telling your money where to go. We have to take control of our money. Maddie and I, a few months back, realized that we were spending over $400 a month at restaurants. That's $400 that could have been put to something else to help build our financial future. And we just had no idea. You've got to know and be in control of your temporal affairs. Second is, it helps to put off the natural man. I want you to think about that for a moment. We read that in Mosiah 3:19, for the natural man is an enemy to God. We don't want to be the natural man. When we studied it a few weeks ago, actually, me, Maddie, and Brian were talking about what is the natural man. The natural man likes fun and likes things that are easy and is short-sighted. And not doing a budget is fun. It's easy, but it is sure short-sighted. If we'll put off the natural man by budgeting our money, we'll ultimately become a saint through the atonement. It is part of learning to become like Heavenly Father, as I said before. And lastly, it invites the Spirit into your home. And I think that's really interesting, that if we'll live on a budget, we'll have the Spirit in our home. Because how many times have we not had the Spirit on our home because we didn't live on a budget? We overspent, or we did something foolish that caused some friction, or just not peace inside of our heart, or friction in relationships. Budgets help us to do that, and so it's extremely important that we focus on our budget. The underlying principle here is, you've heard the old adage, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that's so true. If you don't tell your money where it goes, it'll disappear. And so we need to plan every dollar. There's a concept called zero-based budgeting. The whole point of it is that you get money to come in and you plan it down to zero every month. And hopefully, in planning down to zero, you're paying yourself in the form of putting away into savings. But I've said this before, and I'm going to repeat it over and over. Most of the time, if you have a problem financially, it's not a money problem. It's a you problem, or a me problem in my case. And so we need to be fixing ourselves, and the budget helps us change our behaviors. So I want to kind of come up with give an analogy that has really meant a lot to me. Financially, every month we are trying to fill a bucket with water. We're trying to get that bucket to overflow. That's the goal. However, this bucket has problems. There's holes in it, and those are the expenses going out. Now, in a physical sense, if I had a bucket with holes in it, I have two ways to fill it. If I just have one hose in, I can stick another hose in, or 3 or 4 hoses in, and hope that I'm putting enough money in that it eventually overflows, but it will never, it's harder to fill it because there's always water going out. Now, we could take the approach of filling it with a fire hose. That would fill it really fast. But if you look at the hose as income, you can have multiple hoses or multiple incomes. Most of us won't ever have a fire hose of an income. In fact, I was listening to a radio show the other day, and this guy called in. He was a millionaire, and he was telling them about it, and they said, well, how'd you get there? What did you do for work? He's like, well, for 40 plus years, I was a postman. He delivered the mail for 40 years, and he was a millionaire. My jaw hit the floor. Because I realized it doesn't take a CEO's income to become a millionaire. It just takes someone who budgets, and you can save to get to that point. And so, as we're budgeting, again, if you were trying to fill a bucket, you could put multiple hoses in it. But what would most of us do? Let's stop the holes first, and that's what the budget is stopping the holes. Keep making sure money is not flowing out or water is flowing out. The more holes you can stop, the easier it is to fill the bucket with water. And so that's what we want to do with the budget. We're trying to take that approach. It takes commitment to do that. Every day, you've got to look at the budget. You watch it daily. That's what I've learned recently. Again, as I've gotten better at budgeting recently, it's because I'm watching it every day. I realized something in my personal life with scriptures. I read my scriptures every single morning. In the morning, before I go to work or do anything else, I don't eat until I have read my scriptures. And the reason is I forget. All the time, I don't do it, or I don't study my scriptures if I don't do it first thing in the morning. And so I found, though, as I was doing this and I was getting better at budgeting, I was reading my scriptures and then I was checking my budget. Every day I'd check my budget and compare it to my bank account, move my expenses over into my budget. That has helped me and Maddie so much, to watch the budget every single day. You have to have a commitment to watch your budget every day. Just like you have a commitment to praying and reading your scriptures every day. If you'll do it every day, it'll help you stay on track. And so have that commitment and watch it like a hawk. Watch it daily. Now, lastly, let's talk a little bit about, you've got to make the budget easy, or else it's a burden, but it can become less of a burden and really become a blessing and a fun thing. To me, I found budgeting is fun. It's kind of like a game to me every month to see how much I can possibly save. And you got to find the right way to do it for you. So me personally, I use an app on my cell phone. In fact, let me pull that up here just to show you. This is called Every Dollar. It's actually put out by Dave Ramsey's group. There it is. That's the app. I love Every Dollar. It's extremely simple and it works well for me. I can do zero-based budgeting, so I can plan every dollar that comes into my account. Now, some people like it, some people don't. There's a paid feature. I don't do the paid feature. It brings in, it connects to your account and brings in all your transaction. I found for me, I can save money and there's value in comparing my bank account and my Every Dollar every day. And so that works great for me. Maybe it won't work for you, but give it a try. I've talked to others. In fact, the Shennemans were sharing with me the other day. They use Mint. Mint is definitely not my favorite, but it's some people, again, the Shennemans love it. And so this is kind of what Mint looks like. Mint is another budgeting app. You can, for free, hook it up to your account and hopefully get your budget done that way. Another way to do your budget is some people do them in spreadsheets. If that's your deal, great. If some people have a really hard time, they pull out all of their money in cash and put it in physical envelopes and spend the envelope. And when your restaurant fund is done, when you've spent your, $25 for the month in a restaurant, then they stop going to restaurants. And that's a really good way for some people too. Find whatever works for you as far as budgeting, but do a budget every month. And it's got to be unique every month because, this last month with the COVID stuff, a lot of us received stimulus checks and we got more money than we got normally. And so you have to plan for that. And so I watch it, I adjust all month long to make sure that we're saving as much money as we possibly can. And so those are some basic principles of budgeting. I'll talk about some other tips in the next video, but hopefully that gives you enough to chew on, and we'll talk about it again soon. Thanks.